On this episode of the Wise Counsel Project, we conclude our interview with former Heisman Trophy winner Danny Wuerffel. Join us as Danny provides wise counsel to men and women of faith.
Yeah, I remember hearing a minister from Africa talking about the difference between Christianity in the States versus back in Africa. He says in the States we spend more time studying Jesus. In Africa they spend more time worshiping Jesus. And I bet you really see a lot of that in action down there.
Yeah, we love to think and to sort out and to compartmentalize and have our theologies and then argue about those and find all sorts of reasons to argue. And in the meantime, nobody's actually being Jesus to someone else. No one's actually being the incarnate spirit of God loving your neighbor as Jesus did and taught us. And so I think that's a challenge, but it's one we all should strive for.
And let's talk about challenges. What's been the greatest challenge that you've experienced at Desire Street Missions?
At Desire Street, there's these ups and downs. There's days where you just have these incredible things to celebrate. A kid accomplishing something, first to graduate, go to high school, get married, and then you have tragedies of violence or different things like that, or people you've invested in for so long that then turn back to some other ways, and you feel like, man, what's this about? Those sort of things. And for me personally, I got really sick a few years back. I was visiting a ministry and ended up catching a virus that triggered an autoimmune disorder. I was paralyzed for a while and just really shut down, and that was a tough time for me, where God kind of, I think, forced me to take a lot of the things that I believed, and really impress them in my heart, which at the same time kicked up a lot of dirt in there that I didn't wish were there. So I had to wrestle with my own things of arrogance and selfishness and all stuff that I didn't want to be. So I was acting like, well, that's not there, but then it got triggered up, and it was just another humbling encounter with Christ and his embracing arms. That was a awful thing, being sick that bad, but in some ways a huge blessing and a merciful thing.
And that was Guillain-Barré, am I pronouncing that?
Guillain-Barré syndrome, well done.
And doing well now?
Yeah, I'm healthy. Don't seem to have any recurring issues with that, and Lord willing, that'll be a part of my story I can look back on.
Great. Well, we're here at All Pro Dad Live. Some great speakers in addition to yourself, Coach Tony Dungy, Jeff Foxworthy. Why All Pro Dad? Why? I know you have a lot of opportunities to speak and do things, but why are you making this a part of your life?
Well, I like Tony Dungy. Jeff Foxworthy's funny.
He is.
I love that the celebrity people get involved to kind of get people excited and come out. But I think just the message of the importance of focusing and being a dad, and I don't think very many people would argue that in concept, but I think the reality is, and I learned this when I was sick. I had very little energy for a long time, and I had to choose very carefully where I gave my energy. And I think when we're healthy and moving, we may have our first string energy, to use a football metaphor, and then you kind of got your backup energy and your third string and your fourth string. And I think what usually happens is we burn up our good energy and all these other things, and work and this and even church service and these things, and then we get home and we got our fifth or sixth string energy for our wife and our kids. And I think part of what All Pro Dad encourages me, and I think is to really take the best part of yourselves and figure out a way to invest that in your family.
When you hang it all up, what do you want Danny Wuerffel's legacy to be?
Probably every 5 years, if you ask me that question, I'd have a different answer. I think I want to be who God created me to be. And I think so much of our lives we're spending doing what should we do, what do we think we should do, what does mom think we should do, what does coach think I should do, what is, and I think at some point in our lives we get the opportunity to begin to really pay attention to what is Christ forming in our soul. And in some ways, I just turned 40, and I feel like a kid. I'm starting to discover parts of myself that I didn't know were there. And so I don't know what that means or how it ends on the epitaph one day, but I do hope that it would be, he was who he was supposed to be.
That's great. Yeah, I saw someone, or heard someone say, You have your born date, you have your death date, and it's the line in between. That's what matters. And you are certainly making a difference. One of my favorite quotes is something John F. Kennedy once said: "One person can make a difference, and every person must try." And you're definitely doing it. And got to tell you, on behalf of the law offices of Gary Martin Hayes and Associates, we're going to make a $1,000 donation to Desire Street, because I just love the work that you guys are doing in preparing for the interview. I saw so many wonderful things that you guys are doing. So keep it up.
Thanks.
We're a big supporter. Thank you for your
I'll
time.
do another interview.
Okay.
Right now, I do 3 or 4 if you like.
Well, and we have a lot in common too. I was this close to accepting a football scholarship to Florida.
Really? Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, but they never offered, so that was kind of the problem. But, but Danny, thank you.
Right,
thank you for being with us.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Wise Counsel Project. If you enjoyed it, please consider rating us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. And for more information about the Wise Counsel Project, visit us on the web, wisecounselproject.com. You can also follow me on Twitter @Gary Martin Hayes. Thanks for listening, and God bless.